Hey, this is Corey Lancaster with the Lancaster team of X-Ray Realty. And today I want to bring up a subject surrounding fair housing, which I think is appropriate for Black History Month as well. But this subject not just relates to Black history, it just relates to fair housing in general, okay? But we do have a lot of fair housing rules that have come out of discrimination, right? So one of the things, if you guys were part of I think it was the Maryland Association of Realtors hotline Zoom meeting that I think it was last week or so. One of the topics that came up that was very interesting, very important, that a lot of agents been doing for a very long time, which the associations wants to kind of put an end to, is the heartfelt letter. I know you've heard it from me. You've probably heard it from others. The heartfelt letter. So if you don't know what the heartfelt letter is, it's when you write a letter, or you have your more so you're going to have probably your buyer write a letter talking a little bit about them and how much they like the house, and a little bit of background about them, with the hopes that the seller will read that and just fall in love with you as a family or as a person, and allow you to be the one to buy that house. Well, I'm being told that could be a fair housing violation. And the reason being, it does somewhat make a lot of sense to a certain degree, especially on the seller side, right? If you're a seller and you get that heartfelt letter, and that heartfelt letter mentions something that relates to a protected class, like maybe they tell you what their race is, their ethnicity, if I'm saying that word right, their family size, any of the protected classes that make up fair housing, and that seller, okay, takes that offer. Let's say there's multiple offers, and they take that seller specifically because they wanted to sell it to someone who had a family, or they wanted to sell it to someone that was the same race as them, right? That's a fair housing. That's fair housing. That is discrimination, okay? You cannot advise your client or tell your client, and you have to make a decision if your client says that to you, whether you want to continue listing that property. I know that's a hard choice, but if someone says, well, I want to sell it to this person because they're the same race as me or family size, you need to explain to them fair housing for one, and two, you need to make sure that they're not making that decision solely based on that. If you think that that is the case, you may want to remove yourself as their representative, okay? Because what can happen is you, as the listing agent, got that letter, right? You got that letter and you passed it on to the seller. So you might be complicit in that fair housing violation just by you passing that information on to the seller, okay? I'm not an attorney, so I'm not giving you legal advice. Talk to your broker. But it is something that came up in the hotline Zoom meeting with the Maryland Association of Realtors. So you might want to rethink that. If you're writing a letter that just talks about their financing and stuff that's not fair housing related, that's probably fine, as long as it's confined to maybe what the terms are in the agreements. Okay, I think that's fine. But if it starts talking about things that relate to protected classes, you could have an issue there. Now, playing devil's advocate here, I asked, well, I understand how that could make a listing agent complicit, and a seller can definitely violate that. But how does that relate to the buyer's agent, right? They're not, they're just passing that information on. They're not violating any fair housing, right? But it was, I guess that question came up, and kind of the position that association may take or the commission may take is, well, you are an agent, you're a licensed agent, you know about fair housing, you should have known better. You should not have been involved in that. And the advice they gave, that if your client really wants to do something like that, that you advise them of fair housing and so forth, and that you cannot pass that on. If they reach out and send that to the seller directly, obviously, you don't advise that, but you can't force them to do what they want to do. But you do want to just educate your buyers and your sellers in the potential for fair housing issues, okay? You do have to explain that, right? Because some other agents might not be getting this video, right? Pass it on. I do want you guys to pass this video on to all the agents that you know, because I do want to get that word out, because I know we're in a market right now where there's multiple offers, there's a lot of competition, and so forth. And that's one of the ways that we try to get that competitive edge. And you just want to I just want to let our fellow agents know out there too that they could be violating fair housing, and they will want to talk to their broker and so forth, make sure that that's okay, and their broker has their blessing on that. Okay. All right. Listen, hopefully that has been helpful to you. Keep you out of trouble. We don't want anybody getting sued, right? It is not good. It is not good when you get sued. Listen, if you like the content you've been getting, you're interested in joining the Lancaster team or Extra Right Realty, which I'm one of the owners of, give me a call, DM me, reach out to me. I'd love to sit down, talk with you, find out and show you what we have to offer. All right. Have a good one and be safe.